Good evening. Welcome to Hatha Vinyasa Flow, Thursday nights, every night, 7 o'clock, here in my home studio. Hatha means balance, and Vinyasa means flow. So this is always a nice flowing class with some traditional poses that you might be familiar with. And this week's theme, if you will, is on wellness and on self-healing, but achieving wellness and self-healing by approaching life with some flexibility. Thinking again of our sacral chakra, the source of our creativity, the chakra where we say, I can go with the flow, the chakra where we are self-expressive. And so tonight's flow will be influenced by that chakra. Find your seated position, easy seated pose or Sukhasana. It's nice to start off Sukhasana sitting on top of a bolster or a block if you choose, which allows you to sit up nice and tall, as you can observe me in this video. So when we sit nice and tall, it enables us to have a nice open energy channel. And when we have a nice open energy channel, the breath just moves up and down the spine, directing our movements and setting the tone for our practice. So I invite you to settle into stillness, joining me on the mat, both physically and fully with your heart and with your mind. Start to get into your breath. Perhaps you'd like to close your eyes, drawing your attention inward, looking towards your third eye. Inhaling through your nose and exhaling. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Exhaling fully. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale our hands out and up. And exhaling them out and down. Move my blocks out of the way. Inhale out and up. Exhale out and down. Inhale out and up again, widening your collarbones, taking up as much space as you can. And then exhale your hands down. Now, as you breathe in and out, you might take the Ujjayi Breath, which is also sometimes called the Darth Vader breath. And in that Darth Vader breath, we are slightly constricting the back of our throat, warming up our air as it goes up the back of the throat and down, creating that whispery sound on the back of the throat. So go ahead and try that. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And then one more inhale. Exhale, leaning forward, stretching out the back of the hips, laying across your legs, drawing your arms out in front of you, walking your hands as far out as feels comfortable, drawing your heart center forward as you do that, creating a nice, beautiful stretch along the back of your right hip. If you want to, you can lay your elbows on the mat. You can lay your whole torso across your body, but I encourage you to keep your back as straight as you can so that you are not overextending your lower spine. We want this stretch to be along the outside of your right hip and not in your lower back. It's kind of a misnomer that we stretch out the lower back itself. What we do is we stretch out the muscles that connect to the lower back. And by doing so, we relieve tension in the lower spine. Inhale, go ahead and rise up. And then let's take whichever foot is in front, in my case it's my right foot, and place it behind. In the camera, it may look like I took my left foot and placed it behind because you might be seeing a mirror image. Inhale your hands up, exhaling them out and down. Inhaling them out and up, exhaling them down. And then one more inhale out and up. Exhale, hinging forward at your hips. Dropping your hands down to the mat, walking them forward. If you want, you can place your elbows on the mat. Draw your heart center forward. Draw the crown of your head forward. Concentrate this stretch on the outside of your hip. In my case, it's my left hip. Feeling a beautiful stretch and opening along that back part of the body. And again, making sure that you're not extending your actual spine, your lower lumbar region. You are stretching out these muscles, the piriformis and the gluteus muscles that are attaching from your sacrum to the outside of your hip and perhaps a little bit of the outside of your left thigh. One more inhale. And exhale, go ahead and walk your hands back. Let's go ahead and take some cat-cows to get our back warmed up. Taking your tabletop pose. Setting yourself up so that your hands are perfectly stacked underneath your shoulders. Widen your collarbones. Draw your belly button up to the spine and float your sits bones backwards. Inhale your heart center up as you drop your belly and lift up your sits bones, drawing your shoulders back and down. So you should feel some muscle engagement along the center of your back. And then exhale, reversing that order, drawing your back up to the ceiling, allowing your crown to drop, allowing your shoulders to round, allowing your tail to drop. Inhale, drop the belly. Draw your shoulders back and down and away from your ears as you lift up your sits bones. And then exhale, reversing that order, drawing your back up to the ceiling, belly button to the spine, rounding the shoulders. And then inhale, let's do that again, widening our collarbone as we draw our shoulders back and down, lifting up our sits bones. And then exhale, return to that neutral position of tabletop. Lift up your left leg, lift up your right arm. Keep your right arm bones drawn into the shoulder, your thigh bones drawn into the hip to create an isometric experience, centralizing all of your muscle energy to the middle of the body, drawing your belly button up to the spine, which creates a slight tip of the tailbone downward towards the floor. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. One more inhale. Exhale, return your right hand, return your left knee, and then lift up your right leg and your left arm. Again, drawing your leg bones into your hip sockets, drawing your arm bones into your shoulder, pulling your belly button up so that you're not sway backed. And then from that central strength of energy, extending your hand and your foot out as if somebody is shaking your hand or pulling on your foot, but still keeping your energy centralized to the middle of your body. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. One more inhale. Exhale, drop your left hand, drop your knee. Go ahead and take a cow. Inhale, shoulders up and back as you lift up your sits bones. Exhale, reverse that order, drawing belly button to the spine, spine to the ceiling. Inhale, return to neutral. Lift up your left leg and your right hand, and let's take awkward airplane, drawing your left foot forward, toes forward, bringing your right hand back, creating a cross with your body, lifting up your leg, keeping your belly button drawn to the spine. One more inhale. Exhale, return them back to that position. And then drop your right hand to the floor and left knee to the floor. Lift up your right leg and your left arm. And then take that awkward airplane with those. Lifting up your right leg, toes facing forward, palm facing behind you, creating that cross with your body. Drawing the belly button into the spine. One more inhale, and then exhale, return your foot and your hand to their previous positions and drop your left hand and your left knee. Again, take your inhale up, dropping the belly, drawing your shoulders back and down in cow. And then on the exhale, draw your spine up to the ceiling. One more cow, drawing your heart center up, drawing your shoulders away and down your back as you lift up your sits bones. And then exhale, reverse that order. Oh my gosh, doesn't that feel wonderful? Go ahead and stand up and go to the top of the mat. So we're going to start off with some sun salutations. I'm going to take my blocks so that I can demonstrate to you how you might use them. For the first sun salutation, we're going to do a series of 3 of sun salutation A, and a series of 2 for sun salutation B. So first, let's take our Tadasana. Inhale our shoulders up to the ears and back down, moving our shoulders over our hips, moving our head to the same back plane as our body and our shoulders and our hips, and then slightly pulling in the belly button. Because when you pull in your belly button and when you stand up good and tall, you're in a nice tall mountain pose. Imagining that you are a tall mountain. You are rooting down to the earth as you're drawing energy upwards through the middle of the body. Inhale your hands overhead, and then exhale, swan dive forward. Maybe you want to bend your legs to start so that you can lay your torso across your thighs. Place your blocks down. Inhale into a flat spine, maybe using your blocks to create this letter L with your body, creating nice support. Inhale. And then on your exhale, go ahead and take your right foot back into Anjaneyasana lunge, dropping your right knee. Take your blocks backwards, lift up out of the pelvis, lift your heart center up, and maybe curl back just a little bit. And then exhale, tuck your toes, place your blocks down, go into a plank. Inhale. And then from that plank, drop your knees, drop your elbows into your ribs, drop your heart center to the floor, rise up into a baby cobra. Exhale, tuck your toes, bend your knees, moving back, and go back into downward facing dog. Your first downward facing dog of the day. Go ahead and bend your knees deeply. Push your hips back, push your shoulders away from your ears, and grip the mat with your hands. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, bring your right foot forward into Anjaneyasana and drop your left knee. And again, go ahead and rise up. Use those blocks for support. Rise up your heart center, lift out of your pelvis and curl back ever so slightly. And then exhale, move your blocks slightly forward, tuck your toes, lift your knee, and bring your left foot forward to join the right. Inhale into that flat spine. Exhaling down, bend your knees slightly. Inhale, rise all the way up. And then exhale, bring the blocks down to the side. Inhale, bring your hands up. Exhale, swan dive forward, bending those legs, laying across your thighs. Take your left foot back into Anjaneyasana. Drop your knee. Bring your blocks back in alignment with your hips. Draw your heart center up, lifting out of the pelvis. Maybe curl back just a little bit. Exhale. Loose the blocks for a moment. Tuck your left toe. Bring your right foot back to join the left. And then you are in plank pose. Inhale. Exhale. Drop your knees. Bring your elbows in. Drop your chest. Drop your chin into inchworm. Inhale. Move forward and rise up into low cobra. Exhale, tuck your toes, move your hips back as if going into child pose, and lift up into downward facing dog. Keep your knees bent again for this first set of downward facing dogs in this sun sequence right now. That was a family member walking through. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, bring your left foot forward. Grab your blocks, drop your right knee. Rise your heart center up, lifting out of your pelvis, maybe curling back just a little bit. And then exhale, tuck your right toes, bring your right foot forward to join your left. Use your blocks to create your flat spine. Inhale, and then exhale, fold forward. Inhale, rise all the way up. And then exhale, bring your blocks down to the side. So I'm going to put my blocks aside. I invite you, if you want, to continue to use that variation, or if you want to do it without the blocks, feel free to do that. I'm going to show you the next variation. So inhale, our hands up. Exhale, swan dive forward. This time my feet and my legs are straight. Inhale, drop your crown. Inhale into that flat spine. Exhale down, go back. Right foot behind you into Anjaneyasana. Staying in this low lunge, go ahead and rise up. Hands overhead, still lifting out of the pelvis as you move your hips forward, curling at the top of the spine. Inhale. Exhale, bring your hands down. Take your left foot back to the right in plank. Inhale. Exhale, lower Chaturanga Dandasana. So this is a normal plank, lowering all the way down. And then inhale first into low cobra, and then exhale. You can move back into child's pose to move into downward facing dog, or you can just come out of upward facing dog and move straight back into downward facing dog. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, bring your right foot forward. Drop your left knee, rise up. Exhale, drop your hands, tuck your left toes, bring them forward to join the right foot. Inhale into a flat spine, exhale down. Inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, hands to prayer. Inhale. Exhale your hands down. Inhale your hands up. Exhale, swan dive forward. Lowering your crown. Inhale into a flat spine. Exhale, take your left foot back. Drop your knee. Rising up into Anjaneyasana. Exhale, circle your hands down. Tuck your left toes. Bring your right foot back to join your left. Inhale. Exhale, lower Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale into upward facing dog. And then exhale, rolling over the toes if you want, into downward facing dog. Adjust. Take a breath. Exhale. Inhale, bring your left foot forward. Drop your right knee. Rise up. Exhale, circle your hands down. Tuck your right toes, lifting up out of that into a lunge. And bring your right foot joining your left foot. Inhale into a flat spine. Exhale down. Inhale, rise all the way up. And then exhale, hands to prayer. Now we're going to do a third one with a little bit more strength built into it. So you can continue to do the lunges or the Anjaneyasanas with your knee on the ground. You can continue to use the blocks if you want, or you can join me with a little bit more challenge thrown in. Inhale. Exhale your hands down. Inhale your hands up. Exhale, swan dive forward. Drop your crown. Inhale into a flat spine. Exhale down. Take your right leg back. Stay in that high lunge as you rise up. Inhale. Exhale, hands down. Take your left foot back to join the right in plank. Inhale. Exhale, lower chaturanga dandasana. Inhale, rolling over the toes into upward facing dog. Exhale into downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Shavasana. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, rise your right leg up as high as you want to go. Exhale, bring knee to nose as you bring your foot all the way forward in the high lunge. Rise up, Anjaneyasana. Inhale. Exhale, circle your hands down. Bring your left foot to join your right. Inhale into the flat spine. Exhale down. Inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, hands to prayer. Inhale. Exhale your hands down. Inhale your hands up. Exhale, swan dive forward. Inhale into that flat spine. Exhale, hands down. Take your left foot back. Rise up. Exhale. Inhale, bring your hands up. Exhale, circle your hands down. Take your right foot back to join the left. Inhale. Exhale, lower chaturanga dandasana. Rise up into Adho Mukha Shavasana, upward facing dog. Exhale into Adho Mukha Shavasana, downward facing dog. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, bring your left leg up as high as you want to go. Exhale, knee to nose as you bring your foot all the way through. Rising up into Anjaneyasana. Inhale. Exhale, circle your hands down. Bring your right foot to join your left. Inhale into that flat spine. Exhale down. Inhale, rise all the way up. And then exhale, hands to prayer. So now we're going to take the B series of the sun salutations. So the B series starts off and ends up. So it starts and ends with chair pose. So inhale. Exhale, sitting down, fingertips to the floor. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, swan dive forward. Inhale into that flat spine. Exhale down. Take your right foot back into Anjaneyasana. Rise up. Exhale, hands down. Take your left foot back into plank. Inhale. Exhale, lower chaturanga dandasana. Inhale into upward facing dog. Exhale into downward facing dog. Take your right foot up. Exhale, knee to nose as you bring your foot forward. Rise again into Anjaneyasana. Exhale down. Go back into plank. Inhale. Exhale, lower chaturanga dandasana. Inhale into upward facing dog. Move back. Go ahead and bend your legs and either walk or step forward, or hop forward rather, into that standing pose. Inhale into flat spine. Exhale down. Inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, hands to prayer. Inhale. Exhale, hands to the floor. Rise up into chair. Exhale, swan dive forward. Inhale into that flat spine. Exhale, hands down. Take your left leg back. Rise, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, your hands down. Take your right foot back to join the left into plank. Inhale. Exhale, lower chaturanga dandasana. Rise up into Adho Mukha Shavasana. Moving back into Adho Mukha Shavasana. Nice, 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 nice. Inhale, Take your right leg up. Exhale, knee to nose. And go back into that lunge. Rise up. Exhale, swan dive down. All right, circle your hands down. Bring your right foot back. Inhale. Exhale, lower Chaturanga. Rising up into upward facing dog. Moving back into downward facing dog. Take our left leg up. Exhale, knee to nose. Bring it all the way through. Rising up. Exhale, circle our hands down. Kick our right foot forward. Inhale into a flat spine. Exhale down. Drop into chair. Rise up. Sitting back in your chair. Sitting back as far as you can. And then inhale, rise up. Exhale, circle your hands down and return to prayer. Take a moment to catch your breath. Take a moment to take stock in how you feel. Some salutations can be very vigorous, or they can be very slow. You can make your practice whatever you want it to be. Now let's add on to our sequence here and add on some side planks and some hip opening as part of that side plank experience. So inhale, exhale the hands down, inhale the hands up, exhale, swan dive forward, hands to the floor. Inhale into that flat spine, exhale, place your hands down, move back into plank. Go ahead and hold this for 5 breaths. Drawing your heart center forward as you're bringing your heels back. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more inhale. Exhale. Place your right hand in the center of the mat. Switch over to your right side and place your left foot in front. And go ahead and just lift up your hips, lifting away from your right shoulder, lifting your hips up to the ceiling, using the muscle energy of your right side to lift up your left hip. And if you want, go ahead, lift your hand to the ceiling, or even draw it overhead if you want to increase the stretch and increase the strength involved. Inhale. Exhale, keep pushing those hips up. Inhale. Exhale. One more inhale. Exhale. Place your hand down. Bring your left foot back to join your right. And then let's switch sides. Place your left hand in the center of the mat. Switching over to the left side. Balancing on your left side. Take your right foot forward. Push your hips up. Raise your hand up. Keep on pushing those hips up. Maybe bring your right hand alongside your right ear, the right arm alongside right ear, not the hand. And just keep on lifting up. You're on the edge of your left foot. Your right foot is planted firmly on the mat. One more inhale, lift up, and then exhale. Circle that right hand down. Take your right foot to join your left. Lower Chaturanga. Inhale into upward facing dog and then move back into downward facing dog. Inhale. Exhale, take child's pose. Let's catch our breath. One more inhale. Fully exhale. Let's rise up. Go back into downward facing dog. Now let's move into the Virabhadrasana sequence, the warrior sequence. So let's inhale our right leg as high as we want to go with it. Exhale, knee to nose. Pull your belly button up as you bring your foot all the way forward. And then go ahead and pivot your left heel down to the floor. Your toes are face forward at about 45-degree angles on the left side. and your right toes are facing the front of your mat. Go ahead and rise up. Make sure that your hip bones are facing forward. So adjust your left foot and your right foot in any way that you need to, even if it means widening the base between your feet. Go ahead and rise up. Pull your belly button into the spine, which will naturally lower your hip bone, your tailbone down. Draw your shoulders back and down. Turn your pinkies towards one another. One more inhale, reach. And then exhale, opening up into Warrior Two. Did you notice all the adjustments I'm making with my feet to make this happen? And the reason why is because when I'm standing in Warrior One, my feet are just a little bit farther apart. But when I go to Warrior Two, I want this left heel lined up with the inside of my, or this right heel, I'm sorry, lined up with the inside of my left foot. And then placing my hands on my hips, I'm going to use these muscles on the outside of my thigh to draw my knee back in alignment with my left toes. And I'm going to pull my belly button in, which naturally allows my tailbone to drop. So I've got energy moving up and down, straight down underneath my pelvis. Rise your hands up, draw your shoulder blades together, and then look out over your right hand. Find a way in this strengthening pose to be calm, to be focused. One more inhale. Then on your exhale, go ahead and go back into that peaceful warrior. So in that peaceful warrior, your hips are staying nice and low. You're rising up your heart center, maybe even curling back if you want to. Having a nice long stretch from the top of your right hip all the way up your side body, all the way up your ribs, all the way up to your shoulder. Inhale. Exhale. One more inhale. Exhale, straighten out your right leg. And then let's move into triangle. So in triangle pose, we have this wonderful triangle we have created with our legs, right? And our torso is shooting for being parallel with the floor, drawing the crown of our head in the same direction as our front foot, and then rotating our hip inside of the hip socket so that our knee is facing the ceiling. So rotating those leg bones, rotating outward. And then you've got your left hand up to the ceiling, drawing your left shoulder back, and the arm just follows when you do that. And when you draw your left shoulder back, you're drawing your right shoulder underneath. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more inhale. Exhale. Turn towards your left leg, dropping your left fingertips. Bend your right knee. I said turn towards your right. Turn towards your right leg. Bend your right knee slightly. Bring your left foot in, setting up for pyramid pose. And in pyramid, what we're doing is we've got both hands on either side of our foot. Draw the heart center forward, and then go ahead and lay down over that leg. But lay down may not really mean laying all the way down. It all depends on how much opening you have of your hamstrings. And some days I have more than others. So my advice to you is be okay with being parallel to the floor. Totally okay. Be okay being higher if you need to be. Keep your left leg strong and straight behind you, and you can have a micro bend in your front leg. Draw your shoulders onto your spine, onto your back, as you allow yourself to descend. And when you drop your head, settle into calmness. One more inhale. And then on your exhale, you can place your hands on your hips if you want, or you can go into reverse prayer pose behind your back and then rise up. And then if you want, as you rise up, bring your heart center up and maybe curl your back over your hands that are in reverse prayer. Drawing your right hip back as you bring your left hip forward. Inhale, and then exhale. Bring your hands up overhead, and then exhale, circling them down as you bend your right leg. Take your right foot back to join your left. Inhale. Exhale, lower down, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale into upward facing dog. And then exhale, moving back into downward facing dog. Oh, inhale, lift up your left leg as high as you want. Exhale, bring knee to nose as you bring your foot all the way through. Pivot your heel down in the back and then rise up. Making sure your hip points are in alignment. So whatever you have to do to adjust yourself. In my case, it's moving my right foot slightly out. I'm making some adjustments with my front foot, and then I can descend down. So I might have to move my heel to the middle, move it to the outside. And I've noticed as I get older, or even as I practice even more, what my right foot is doing behind me continues to change. So for me, the more forward my toes are, the more even my hips are. But some people can have their foot like this and still have their hips pointed forward. Everybody is different, but the standard of the pose is to be using this as an opportunity to really lengthen your hamstring behind you and your hip points are forward and even. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, bend your left leg deeply. Inhale, rise up. Exhale. One more inhale. And then exhale, open this up into warrior two. So now you get the nice view from behind of my alignment. So let's start with the basics. My left knee is tracking out towards my toes. My tailbone pulls down as my belly button pulls in and up. Then I open up my arms, pulling my shoulder blades together, looking out over my left arm. Finding my drishti gaze, calmly breathing. One more inhale. And then exhale, going back into that peaceful warrior. And maybe even lengthening more by curling backwards, drawing my arm overhead slightly, lowering my hips. One more inhale. Exhale, bringing my hand up to the ceiling and straightening out my left leg. And still continuing in that peaceful warrior. Inhale. And then exhale, taking my hands to warrior two arms as I move into triangle. So in triangle again, my left thigh bone is rotating within the hip socket upward so that my knee is facing the ceiling. Drawing my left shoulder back, pressing my entire back of my body against that imaginary wall behind me. One more inhale. And on your exhale, bring your right hand down to join your left foot. Slightly bend your left knee. Bring your right foot in the setup for triangle pose. Inhale, drawing the crown of your head forward. And then on your exhale, allowing yourself to descend over that left leg. Continuing to draw your left hip back as you draw your right hip forward. Pulling your shoulders onto your back. You can have a micro bend in your front leg if you want. Keep your left leg behind you, strong and straight. One more inhale. And on your exhale, go ahead and rise up, or on your inhale, rise up, I should say. So hands are at the hips, or you have them in reverse prayer behind your back. Inhale, rising your heart center to the sky, perhaps curling over your hands. Continuing to draw your left hip back as you bring your right hip forward. One more inhale. And then exhale, bring your hands overhead. Exhale, circle them down. Go ahead and return to the mat. Bring your left foot back to join your right. Inhale. Exhale, lower chaturanga dandasana. Inhale into upward facing dog. And then exhale into downward facing dog. Oh my goodness, enjoy that. Inhale. And then exhale. Inhale. Exhale, drop your knees. And then let's sit back into hero, separating our feet and sitting in between them. So you may find this challenging if you don't sit this way very often. You are welcome to place a block or a bolster or a blanket underneath your legs. Doing deep knee bends on a daily basis is very good for the knee joint. But some people find it very difficult, so feel free to take modifications if you want. Some people can lay all the way back in reclined hero. I do not take that pose. My sacroiliac joints aren't happy when I do that. And I have learned over the years that strengthening my lower back, keeping my joints in alignment is critical for my back and hip health and for my happiness. And you should never feel pain because of yoga. You should feel stronger. You should feel more open. You should feel like you've created more space. And you should have a calmer nervous system, but perhaps more energized at the same time. But you should not hurt. So if you hurt, ask yourself why. Did I bring enough rich oxygen by breathing well while I was in yoga? Did I take myself too far beyond my edges and push myself too hard? You always need to ask yourself that. So inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. And let's go ahead, rise up on our knees. Go ahead and move back again into downward facing dog. Be careful because you had your knees in a nice deep bend, so they're going to feel a little strange. Rise up on your tippy toes, pull your hips up to the ceiling. And then if you can, go ahead and lower your heels. Rise up, exhale, lower the heels. Rise up, and then exhale, lower your heels. Bring your right foot forward on the outside of your hands. And go ahead and just take some gentle movements back and forth to open up your hips. And then plant your left hand on the floor, take your right hand to your right knee, and just start to push open. You can drop your left knee to the floor if you want. That might even encourage a greater opening of the hip. So you're stretching at your left hip as you're opening up the inside of your right hip. Taking a little twist while you're at it. So I'm just kind of lowering my left hip to the floor as I twist my body around and push against the inside of my right knee. And then go ahead and return back. Go ahead and walk your right foot to the left and lay it down for pigeon. But let's start off strong in pigeon first. Let's sit up high. So we're using the strength of our pelvis to lift us off of the ground. Go ahead and rise our hands up. One more inhale. Exhale down. Place your right hand on the floor. Reach back and grab your left foot behind you and draw your heel towards your buttocks. If you're really great, go ahead and wrap your arm around your toes. And if you're really strong, you can lift up out of that. But I find I have to sit down. So you can, if you want to, sit down and go ahead and take a bound version of the pose. One more inhale, and then on the exhale, release your right hand, release your left foot, and then let's go ahead and lay down over our leg in pigeon. You should get a nice, gorgeous stretch all on the outside of your right hip. And there's different things you can do with this leg. Some people really can, have this leg out in front. I've never been able to. My hips don't allow for that. You can take the therapeutic version and you can just sit on top of your leg. Or like me, you can have your foot turned inward and my knee is on the outside of my hip. And I'm getting a great stretch all on the outside of my right hip and down the outside of my right thigh. So everybody is different and it's okay. And I'm up on my elbows. Sometimes I extend all the way out in front of me and sometimes I'm just like this. And every day the body is different and it's okay to honor how the body is and what you need right here in the moment. That is that expression of going with the flow. One of the things we try to do often in yoga is try to contort our bodies into acrobatic movements. Or we say to ourselves, well, I could do this yesterday, so I know I can do it today. But every day the body is different for different reasons. Some of it's the natural aging process. Some of it's weather changes. Some of it's today you sat too much and all your muscles shortened up. Some of it's how warm it is outside, what time of day it is. There's all kinds of things that affect how the body is behaving. And we just need to honor where it's at and listen to what it tells us and deliver what it says it needs. Let's go ahead and rise out of this pose. Gently tuck your left toes and using the strength of your core muscles, draw your hips back. Your leg will follow. And then when your leg arrives at the back, gently straighten it out. Rise up on your tippy toes. And then on your exhale, drop your heels. Rise up on the tippy toes. And then drop your heels. And then rise up again. And then exhale, bring your left foot forward on the outside of your left hand. So both of your hands are on the inside. And then do that again, just moving your hips back and forth, allowing for a gentle opening. And then, as we did before, place your left hand on the inside of your left knee and start to twist to the left, perhaps dropping your right knee to encourage that opening. And then even drop your hip, your right hip to the ground as you're pushing your left knee open to encourage the opening of that hip. And then on your exhale, go ahead and walk your left foot to the right. And then we will rise up in our pigeon. Bring our hands up. So as you see, my hips are nowhere near the floor. And that's okay. One more inhale. And then on the exhale, place your left hand on the mat, reach back and grab your right hand, or your right foot, I'm sorry. Drawing your right heel towards your right buttock. Or you can join me. I'm going to sit down on my left hip, and I'm going to take the bound version of this pose. Oops, but I have to sit down more on my hip to do that. So you just saw it, as yoga teachers, we're not always as open to do the poses as much as we want, and we have to make some adjustments. So here we go. One more inhale. And then on the exhale, let your left hand down, release your right foot, and go ahead and turn towards the front and lay down over your left leg in your pigeon pose. Oh. One more inhale. Exhale. Place your hands down. Using the strength of your belly in your core, move your way back into downward facing dog. And when you arrive, go ahead and stretch back as far as you can. Inhale, rise your hands up, your feet up. And then exhale, drop your heels. Inhale, rise up on your tippy toes. Exhale, drop your heels. And then one more, rise up. And then exhale, drop to your knees. I'm going to turn towards the camera, and we're going to take Firelock Pose, which is called also full pigeon. So to get into Firelock Pose, you're kind of doing the same thing as you were in pigeon with your leg behind you with your legs, only now both legs are doing the same thing as the front leg was. So place your left shin parallel to whatever side of the mat you're looking at. Take your right ankle, cross it over your left knee. Go ahead and rise up so that your sits bones are equal with one another. So initially, when I start off in Firelock, both of my shins are parallel to the front of the mat. I'm drawing my toes backwards so that my feet don't, well, the feet can sickle a little bit, you know, because that's not going to hurt anything, but it protects the joints if I draw my pinky toes back towards my knees. And then I sit up nice and tall. And I just hold my hands on my soles of my feet. While I'm sitting here, I'm going to turn this way so maybe you can see me better. You can see this gap between my right knee and my left foot. And I'm just going to sit here and allow my hips to open up on their own. So here's a trick for you guys at home. If you straighten up your back and you draw the crown of your head up towards the ceiling, it creates space for that hip to begin to open. And over time, if I just sit here in this Firelock pose, which is a rather intense pose, if I just sit here, over time, I can start to move my heels forward, and eventually this knee starts to drop. Sometimes it stays up high, and sometimes it goes all the way down to my foot. Every day is different. So I do lots of things. I experiment with the positions of my leg, because, you know, my ankle is sort of digging into my thigh here, and that can be uneasy. But I try different things and just let it take its time. My right hip is never as open as my left. And I've just accepted that that is the reality of this hip. And rather than fight against it, rather than work too hard with it, I just let it be what it's going to be. But I'm sitting up good and tall. I've got nice body alignment, and I can breathe. And when we are like that, we can start to allow these poses to help us to find ourselves. So close your eyes and meditate in this Firelock pose. Find ease in your efforts. Allow your spirit to soften your edges. Let's do one more inhale. And then on your exhale, gently unravel your feet and switch sides. So I'm going to lay my right foot on the floor, my right leg rather. Right shin parallel to the front of the mat. Bringing my left heel to the right. Rising up so that I can even out my sits bones. And then drawing both of my shins forward, creating that triangle in the center. So if you look down, you'll see a triangle. And you can see there's much less of a gap on this side. My left hip is so much more open than my right. And it's just how it is. We have these differences in our body. And I just respect it because there's nothing I can do to change it other than keep trying to make them equal. So draw your toes back towards your knees to protect your knee joint. This is a big rotation of the hips. Not everybody can do this. So you can skip this if you want and just sit in Sukhasana. Whatever you're doing now, find ease. Breathe deeply. Use this pose to find your inner self. Rise up, draw the crown of your head up to create space. Sit nice and tall. One more inhale. And then fully exhale. Gently unravel your feet. Moving so that you are sitting up in staff. So let me turn my body so that you can see my back in staff pose. See how it's nice and tall? So when we're sitting in staff pose, what we're aiming for is just like being in Tadasana, only we're sitting, their feet out in front. If you need to bend your legs to make that possible, then you feel free to do that. And you can put a towel underneath your legs. You can do whatever you need to do. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to actually lean forward because that's not really accomplishing what you want, which is strengthening all these muscles in the front and all these muscles in the back, making you so much healthier. Go ahead and rise your hands up. If you choose to, forward fold. As you forward fold, be attentive to your lower spine. So you can be attentive by lifting up your knees, drawing your shoulders back, lifting up your heart center, and making sure that when you forward fold, you aren't pulling out of your lower spine, that you are stretching out your hamstrings and not overextending your lower back. So try not to round your back. Have your energy be forward moving with the heart. Let the heart guide you. Notice my elbows are bent. I'm basically pulling my legs back and anchoring my fingers against my feet as I go into that forward fold, which allows me to keep my shoulders in place so that I don't overextend my lower back as I fold down. And go ahead, allow the body to open in its own timing. Another trick is you can contract your abdominal muscles and use that to more deeply fold into anything. Because when you contract those muscles, it's a more organic folding and it protects your lower spine.
Combining that with drawing your shoulders onto your back really makes for an effective forward fold. Inhale, go ahead and rise up. Let's go ahead and take Badakanasana, down dangle pose, sometimes called butterfly. And if you want, you can wrap your hands around your toes. You can keep them up on your ankles. Go ahead and sit nice and tall, drawing your shoulders back. If you want, you can go ahead and fold forward. You can use your elbows to gently open up your thighs, placing pressure on the inside of your thighs as you move forward. Go ahead and rise up. And then let's go ahead and take our final resting pose of the evening, Shavasana. So go ahead and make your way down to the mat. You can move your hips in any way that is comfortable for you. Maybe windshield wiper blade your legs back and forth to release your lower back. We've been doing a lot of work on the hips tonight. So sometimes it's hard to settle in after you've been doing all of that. A lot of it was deep muscle work. A lot of it was major hip opening work. And then find your place of stillness. You can have your feet on the floor with your knees high up to the sky if you want. You can open up into Badakanasana if you want. You can even have your legs outstretched. Either way. And then as you lay here in Shavasana, your palms are facing the ceiling. And what you want to do is start to move into a meditative state. Take a scan of your body. Check in. Do you have any parts of your body that are still holding tension? Starting with your feet, moving up to the ankles and the shins, moving up to your calves, back of your knees and your kneecaps, moving up to your thighs, moving up to your hip bones and the soft spot of your abdomen just above your pubis. Moving up to your lower abdomen and your hips and your waist. Continuing to move up through the solar plexus to the ribs. To your shoulders and your collarbones. To your neck. To your jawline and your facial muscles. To the space across the bridge of your nose. To your forehead. And ultimately to the crown of your head. Lay here as long as you need to, resting in this final pose of the evening.
wherever you journeyed to while you were in Shavasana. I invite you back to the present. Go ahead and take a nice big stretch. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Maybe integrate a little bit of wiggling movement into your body and then roll over to one side or the other. Lay slightly curled on your side, keeping your eyes closed still. And then go ahead and rise up into a sitting position, still keeping your head low, keeping your eyes closed. When you arrive into your seated position, go ahead and inhale your shoulders up to your ears. Exhale them down, and then bring your head up and gently open up your eyes into a half gaze. Inhale, rise your hands up. And then exhale, bring your hands down. Inhale, rise your hands up. Exhale, bring them down. And then inhale, bring your hands out and up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Bow your head. Taking time for self-care is elemental in self-healing and in wellness. You have taken this time, this hour and 10 minutes or so, to give back to you. And the more that you take time to do that, the more you are available to those around you and to carry out your life's mission or your dharma. The light in me joins the light in you. The yogi in me honors the yogi in you. Namaste. And thank you for coming.